Hi, I'm Gavin. Slightly different surroundings than my usual videos, a bit more comfortable, possibly. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to do a video about the Canon R5C. Now, in a previous sort of video I made, I was very explicit in the fact that I really hated hybrid cameras because I didn't like I like to do photography with one camera, and I like to do cinematography and videography with another camera, like split the two disciplines in half. I think I likened it to a spork or something like that. Anyway, now I recently shot with the R5C. This one here it is. You can see it. See if it. Okay. I recently shot with one of those, and while I've changed my opinion in a massive way, fundamentally, I'm going to jump back and talk a bit about technology before we come back to the R5C. Okay, so about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, we were all running around and we had like Blackberries, we had mobile phones, we had iPods, we had all these different devices to sort of, carry out different functionality. So, we had our Blackberries for our email and some text as well. It was also a phone. You had your mobile phone, your Nokia, whatever, and you had your iPod and all those weird other music devices that they tried to sell us, Zoom, things like that. Okay, so and then over time, all these devices coalesced into one device, either an Android phone or the iPhone you have today, and that basically carries out all those functions. We've got email, we've got cameras on them, we've got everything. But the reason it all works is because the interface is consistent. And when you move between all these different applications, you feel everything feels the same. So like you jump from iTunes to a camera, the way that it's sort of done is seamless, and you actually feel that you've jumped between the mode of operation. So when you're like in, I don't know, when you're in iTunes, you know it's iTunes, you know what you're doing. And then when you jump to the iPhone, you jump to the email application, it has its own controls, but they're very, very split. And they're like their own little worlds. Each app has its own sort of thing. Now, okay, so let's talk about the cameras. Now, what happened was we had, digital stills cameras, digital video cameras, and I think it was a Nikon D90. It might be the Nikon D90. All of a sudden, we started to get video stills cameras that could shoot, stills cameras, digital stills cameras, which could shoot video. And obviously, this was great, and this was like, aha, the future. They made things like the Canon 5D, and people are hacking it, getting RAW, and all those kind of things out of those cameras. And it's sort of like that was the birth of the entire hybrid sort of thing. Now, we've moved forward. We've got the FX3. We've got all these different cameras which are hybrid, which are supposed to do video and stills. And in fact, you've got some of the cinema cameras, like the Reds, where you can take stills from them, or the Black Magics, you can take stills from them, but they're not stills cameras, and they don't feel like stills cameras. So bringing it all back around, it's really been hard because manufacturers have been trying to sort of like, they want to sell you a stills camera with a video capability. They want to sell you a video camera with some stills capabilities, but there's always been concessions. There's always been conceits and things like that with how it's all done. And that's why, back to the beginning, that's why I hated them. It's like using a GH5S and then taking photos with it. I hated it. Or, I've not used any of the Z cameras, but it was like, it's all a mess. Sony, I hate them. It's like the interfaces on the, just Sony interfaces. I used to shoot digibeta cameras back in the day, and I tell you what, Sony interfaces, they just never know. It just does my head in. Anyway, so you've got like an A7S, and inside it you've got different modes. It's just not clear. It's not like using an iPhone where you just jump to it nice and clean, and your brain switches to music mode, your brain switches to video mode. The Canon R5C though does this. The Canon R5C gives you that thing. Gives you, well, for me anyway, that bit where if with a single switch, you turn the switch on the top, and I go into photo mode, and now I'm holding a stills camera, and all the controls presented to me exactly the same as a Canon stills camera. I switch to video, and it switches to their Canon Cinema line operating system. So therefore, I'm now in video mode, and it's literally a switch that's done this. And there's no crossover. There's no, okay, that's stills mode, whatever. It's literally, it's like two devices in one, which is exactly, if you think about it, how an iPhone works. You've got Spotify, then you've got iTunes, you've got this, and you move between these things, and it's seamless. And there's no bleed. Okay, the overall looks the same, the interface, the GUI is the same, but it's sort of like, you know, you're in specific things. And I mean, I shot with the R5C the other day, and it was nuts. It was sort of like, I had to do a load of stills. I mean, this has always happened. About every time I've ever been asked to do video and stills at the same time, it's like cart round a Pentax K1, cart round a Blackmagic, a Komodo, or a Red, or whatever we need to shoot it with, some Sony thing. And it's always been a pain, because you like stand there and you take your photographs, you do a few photos, then you start filming, and then the problem is you have to jump. Okay, something comes up, you think, oh, I better shoot that. So you're all over the shop for your one-man band. I mean, obviously the best way to do this is like to bring a photographer and do video, but I mean, there are those moments where you just need to grab a few stills. So I'm shooting with this the other day, and it's literally, I could turn it on to video mode, to stills mode, shoot a load of things, flip it back to video mode, and then shoot 8K RAW. And so that singular function, it was just seamless. It was absolutely a seamless thing to do, and it works. So that's why I've decided I really, really like this camera. There are other things about it. I mean, you know, when there's loads of reviews online. I'm not going to do a massive review of it. I mean, but just look at the level of functionality you've got, plus that very, very perfect crossover between, you know, video and stills. It's an 8K RAW camera that shoots 60p. You know, it's got multiple codecs, XABC, H.265. You can build it out. You can put EF lenses on it. You can put RF lenses on it. You can do all sorts of things with it. People complain about the power supplies and all this sort of rubbish and the size of the HDMI port. Just buy the adapter, or just build it out with a V-lock on the back. You've still got like an incredibly powerful package. I think the problem is when you look at, you know, you go and buy Blackmagic, the new Blackmagic full frame. It's got tons of great stuff, and it's a great video camera, but it's not 8K. It's not quite got the amount of fun. The autofocus is nowhere near as good as this thing. The R5C has so many great features, and people say, "Oh, there's you know, it's got X, Y, Z problems." It hasn't got any problems. Every problem it has, you can overcome by just buying a thing, and it's not much to do that. You know, an adapter cable, or build out a V-lock, or use an external power pack for the PD power to make it do, you know, 8K 60p. But it's really you know, you can overcome all of this stuff, and then you've got this immensely powerful camera. I mean, it's sort of like, it's fascinating. If you've got a C70, this is being shot on a C70, then it's the ideal companion as an A or a B camera with the C70. C70 is like 4K, does the biz, really, really solid interview camera, and, you know, great. But then you've got this other thing that shoots 8K and stills that you can run around as a B cam, and you can set it on autofocus and tracking and eye detection and all the rest of it, and let it get its on it, do its own thing. So you've got an immensely, with the C70 and a R5C, you've got a really powerful little setup there if you want to go that way. But singularly, an R5C is a perfect camera for like a run and gun single shooter. It's just great camera. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to like pop it on the camera, pop it on the table, have a really quick look at it, nothing exciting. I'm not going to go into the specs. You can find those in a million videos online about the specs of that camera. And then I'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so here you go. This is the Canon R5C. Quick look at it. Top-down view. So it looks like I've got a cage on this one. I think it's a tilde cage. Small rig, maybe? Small rig? Small rig. Okay. So you can sort of see it's very much like an SLR design, like a normal thing. And I mean, if you look at the R5, which was their stills one, it's sort of like, this has got an extension. It's got like a vented fan area, because on the R5 it had big issues with overheating when it was shooting certain things, but they got rid of all that. This thing shoots forever. So yeah, so it's basically a standard SLR design with the buttons on the back, your flip out screen, yeah, and you can watch everything. You can do it. So okay, so yeah, so buttons. So yeah, so if you've using SLR, you're not going to have any problems with this, are you? And also, obviously, with the cage, you can build it out whatever you want. Now, this is RF mount, so if you want to access EF lenses, you need to get one of these, which is a Canon adapter, which is RF to EF. I've not noticed any difference in autofocus or capabilities like that. There's even ones you can get that have the like P-lock, the lock restraint on. So if you put a bigger lens on, you've got a restraint. And obviously, if you use a big lens, you can build out rails underneath to hold the lens out the front. I've just got a basic 50 on the front. So let me talk about this thing that I'm talking about. So, okay, with a normal one of these cameras, you know, the hybrid type cameras, the moment you switch it on or into its like movie mode, it's you know, sort of like it's quite alien. You're not quite used to it. It's a bit weird, and you have to figure your way around it, like the Sony cameras. But with this, because if you used a Canon cinema camera, they have basically a cinema camera operating system. So if I switch on video, see if this thing lights up. So here we are. Look, so the screen comes up on the right here, powers up, and if I switch into menu mode, now this is exactly, see it very well. This is exactly the same system I'd see on a C70, you know, C500, all these cameras, all their entire cinema range of cameras. And you can just whiz along all the settings on here, just on the top. And it's exactly, literally exactly the same configuration. So it's as if it's not a stills camera. It's as if you've got a Canon cinema camera to play with, just like a C70. Everything's the same. So, okay, so you set it up, you can do your 8K, you can do your 8K 60p. I mean, there are, you know, everybody says there are problems. If you need to shoot 8K 60p, you need to fire it on an internal power source. I mean, you can build out V-locks on the back of this. You can use really cool battery packs you can pop in your pocket. When I shot the other day, I had like a power pack in my pocket and a USB PD lead into the side of it and shot all day. I think I shot for about 6 or 7 hours. I mean, and I'd lose about 45% of the power in the pack. So there's loads of ways around it, and it's not a pain. It's just, you know, it can be a little bit. You just need to set it up. Okay, so yeah, so this was the thing. So I'd shot my video, and then every setup I needed to shoot some stills. So all you do is just switch that over to photo, and then give it a set. And now I'm in photo mode. So literally, if I'm using a Canon, any Canon camera, photo camera, I've now got my photo mode. So there you go, and I'm in. So if I press menu on this, which is up here, press menu, and now I'm into like a Canon. If anybody's ever used a Canon stills digital camera, this is exactly what you get on those. And then I'm off. So my brain switched off from video mode. I can do this, and I'm off. And you see, I mean, that's immensely powerful because there's no overlap. There's no messing around. There's no crossover between the two things. And then you just turn it back off. Does its thing, keep it going, whatever, and then put it back over the video. And this is the latest firmware, so it should fire up quite quickly. And we're back in video again. Now I can shoot 8K video at 60p. I mean, that's insane. I mean, I know, you know, as I've mentioned, some of the other cameras have stills capabilities. Nikon, you know, they've got a very good camera like this, but the thing is, they don't have a heritage in cinema cameras, so I don't really trust that. And they don't make video cameras, Nikon, do they? They you know, they're very much known for their stills. So yeah, so I mean, just a few other quick things. I mean, you've got, you know, it's got on the side, I know everybody moans about this, it doesn't have a full size HDMI out, but you just buy an adapter. And then you've got, there you go, USB-C, which you can power in. You've got other bits and bobs in here. What have we got in here? What have we got? Yeah, you know, you can put your mic in and all this sort of business. Now, the only thing is, it's not like on a C70 we've got XLR, we've got mini XLRs to do XLRs. On this, they've developed a new top plate bit, and you can put a TAC-SCAM handly thing on it, and basically that will allow you to put full-blown XLRs into the camera and do it. So, you know, it doesn't come with everything, but like most of my cameras, you don't get how much it costs to build out a red to use it. I mean, with this, you put a bit, you know, the thing on the TAC-SCAM thing on the top, and you can put XLRs in. So yeah, so I mean, immensely capable camera, and I'm pretty blown away by it, really, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's sort of, they've really nailed it with this. I mean, there's tons of capability to it. I mean, I couldn't think, if I was like a run and gun shooter, I couldn't think of another camera to get that would be as good and as versatile for somebody as this. Plus the workflow. I mean, obviously if you're shooting 8K material, you're going to have a lot to do in post. So this allows you to shoot, it's got a CF card and a SD card. So what you basically do, like you do on lots of cameras, is you'll shoot your 8K master onto your CF card, and then you'll shoot your proxy version onto your SD card. And then basically, when you take it in post, you edit your proxies and then reconform back from your 8K masters at the end, because you don't want to be fucking editing with 8K in a timeline. It's a nightmare. And then you can color grade and get it out the door. And with the stills, you can fire the stills onto the same card. So, I mean, it's got great capability, this camera. It really, really has. Slow motion, you can do, you've got XAVC, you've got all the different codecs you need. You can even shoot to H.265 if you really, really need to. But yeah, it's great. And it's got eye detection, so once you go up there, you can look at it. Sort of like a normal camera. What else? We got anything else to show you? No, not really. I mean, they've really sort of done a great job with this. Canon, well done. They've actually given us something that we need. And I mean, I keep referring to the iPhone situation, but it's really brought everything together in a way that people who do photography and people who do videography can have the best of both worlds. So there you go. That's the Canon EOS R5C. Okay, so there it is. There's the Canon R5C. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite enamoured by it. To me, I know it's quite a groundbreaking step. It's like, it's so simple to use. I mean, I've not used any of the Z cameras, so, you know, and the other thing for it being, Nikon doesn't have a cinema heritage. Canon has. Nikon's a stills guys, so I mean, maybe they've got all that sort of that, but realistically, you know, Canon been making cameras for making videos and films on for years. You know, 28 Days Later was shot one of those Canon cameras, wasn't it? When they were doing DV. I mean, they've got a bit of heritage and heritage for cinema. Nikon don't. And you've got Panasonic, Lumix, all these other cameras. But for the price point that camera comes in at, the availability of lenses, the availability of the media, what you can do with it, the workflow, you know, you can shoot proxies, 8K, shoot 8K RAW, proxy it, and what you can do with a camera, it's pretty, you know, it's impressive to say the least. I'd be fascinated to see what they did next with it. If they brought up an updated version. I mean, it's going to become one of the situations like the phone. All they're going to be able to do to that format that Canon have done now is just increase the specifications, because they've done it. They brought the two things together. They brought photography and they brought video together into one package, and no one's really done it as cleverly as they have. So yeah, so well done, Canon. I mean, it really threw me. I mean, I just thought they would always be fighting, and all the manufacturers are fighting to stills and video, but with one single switch, it's so simple, and two separate operating systems, they've done it. So I mean, yeah, great camera. And if you get a chance to buy one, I mean, when you look for your 3,000 or 4,000 sub 5K camera for videos and stills, you know, give that a good look. It's incredibly well spec'd, an amazing piece of equipment. Anyway, thanks for watching.